Freedom marches was good. I know I was supposed to do this live stream yesterday, but you know, I didn't. So here I am today. And it's a good thing too, because I need to piggyback off the topic in this here live stream in order to give you guys more information. Okay, we all know a Democrat, right? This is supposedly what happened. A Democrat ran over someone who's supposed to be a Republican kid. He was a teenager. He was Republican, and what the saddest part about it, if this is the way they say it happened, is he called his mother while he was being chased down by this psychopath before he was run over. So that's I mean, as a parent, I wouldn't know what to do, right? But this is something that supposedly happened. They said it happened. We'll see. You know, the media, they like to make shit up and, you know, psyops and all that. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to get too involved in the conspiracy theory shit right now. But can we really and honestly trust anything that comes from mainstream media or the government? I can't. But it is what it is. Okay. And what the bad thing about this is, the dude was let out on bail. Yeah. So he was able to receive bail for this action, right? Running a kid over, you know, as long as, obvious, apparently, what they want us to believe is, as long as you're a Democrat, you can run down and kill Republicans, whether they're children, teenagers, doesn't matter. You can run them over and you can get out on bail. But that's what they want us. That's what they want us to think, right? That's what they want Republicans to think. Why? So they can push this fucking civil war that they want to go down. They want the civil war to crack. All right, they want to kick it off. Okay, they're doing things to make that happen, and it might very well happen. So just be prepared for that, right? Not sure if I'm back. I know that it started going into my... So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, this shit is crazy, man. Shit is crazy. If this really happened, I mean, people just got to watch their back, right? So, you know, your children, you got to make sure your children are safe. Make sure your children know what to do in crazy situations. Am I back? I don't know what the fuck's going on. Anyway, just make sure your children are good. This is why the left-right paradigm bullshit is so dangerous, right? They are sowing division using the left-right versus right paradigm, using the black versus right, the black versus white paradigm, you know, all that type of shit. But, you know, this is just a foment civil war. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. There are a lot of things that are falling into place that would lead to that. Okay, well, you have pundits talking about it, very influential pundits like Tim Pool. You know, you got Republican. You got Biden talking about super MAGA and MAGA terrorists. And look, this is probably what led that Democrat to running that kid down. Is Biden sitting up here talking about MAGA Republicans or domestic terrorists and extremists and all this other shit. And that's probably planted the seed of violence in this Democrat's head. Okay? But nobody's gonna, you won't hear mainstream media talk about that. They won't tie that to this like they would if Trump was in office. And why? To further sow division. To get the Republicans to be angry. Oh, God, fuck. fucking duck, dude. Listen. Don't listen. I mean, they wanted to appear to be skewed, right? They wanted to be it's so unfair to Trump. It's so unfair to Republicans. To further, it's tribalization. It's tribalization and division. Okay, we have to pull ourselves out of that mind state. We can't be caught up in this left-right paradigm bullshit. We got to read between the lines. We got to see what they're doing, because all this shit's obvious to me. Okay, everything's lining up perfectly for them. Biden talks about the MAGA Republicans. Then this kid runs over somebody. Okay, and then of course you got Republicans that are probably angry at Democrats and all this other type of shit. And you probably got Democrats, you probably got Democrats secretly celebrating this shit. And one thing to look out for that I just found out about is a spending bill. Okay, there's a spending bill that has a bunch of gun control shit hidden all up and through. Okay, some of it involves researching how to reduce gun control research, reducing violence, money towards the boyfriend, domestic violence shit, right? All that type of shit. Some concerning things, right? Some of it is about research, and some of it is about funding. Is about funding certain gun control measures that they want to push out, right? And so that's coming down the pike. And this is the most concerning thing about this bill is the research to study violent anti-government extremism. Violent anti-government extremism, right? Understand what that means. What is anti-government extremism? Simple criticism. If you criticize the government, if you don't want the government to exist, if you say things about revolution, or if you talk about anarchy and all this other shit, if you talk about small government, they're going to consider that violent. Okay, so they're going to do research so that they can find, they're going to do research to find evidence that supports the idea that anything anti-government is violent. And so if you start spewing anti-government rhetoric, they are going to do something about it. And that's what this research is going to lead to. That's going to be the findings of the research. Well, we found that people, 80% of the individuals on social media who say anti-government things end up committing domestic terrorist acts. That's the type of shit they're going to find with this research. Understand that. I already know what the conclusion is going to be. Right? I already know what the conclusion is going to be. When individuals who talk about this 90% of the time, or 65% of the time, or 70% of the time, they end up committing violence. And so we have to do something about it. We have to come up with, anti-free speech laws, and we'll justify it with this research, so that when we pass it into law, that you can't say anti-government things. You can't say anything negative about presidents or Congress people. You know what I'm saying? They're just going to use that to justify creating laws to censor you, okay? So that you don't spread the message of freedom, right? If you spread the message of freedom, and understand, I'm talking about true freedom. I'm not talking about fake freedom, like with the Republicans, right? That's fake freedom. If you say you believe in freedom, but then at the same time you believe in law and order, those things cannot mutually. Those things are they can't coexist in the same space at the same time. And anybody who has those two opposing thoughts suffer from cognitive dissonance, and that's why they lost in the sauce. So if you call yourself a freedom lover, but then you believe in law and order, It's not really the order, right? It's not the order that I have the issue with. It's not even the law, right? But it's the way in which they use it. Law and order, right? Order to them means tyranny. Law is directives and opinions and directives. That's what laws are. So when they say law, they're really talking about commands, rules, all that type of shit. It's not really a law. And order, what they're talking about is enforcement of those laws, enforcement of those edicts, of those directives in the form of tyranny. So when they say law and order, they're talking about they're talking about directives and tyranny. That's what they're talking about, right? So you can't be pro freedom and pro motherfucking law and order. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. And you see these people when they talk about it, right? When they talk about how they're pro freedom, right? You can see the contradiction when they start talking about, when they start defending police officers and saying police officers can do no wrong. There's no such thing as police brutality. There's no such thing as any of that shit. The shit doesn't coincide. When these police officers are the ones that are enforcing a lot of these unjust rules and edicts that these people don't like, right? And that's just the reality of it. So that's why it doesn't make sense, because these police officers are going to ensure that you have no freedom, but you call yourself pro-freedom and you want to minimize government. Well, if you want to minimize government, then you also have to minimize law enforcement. And if you minimize law enforcement, that law enforcement is still going to exist as the military arm of that government. They're not going to be controlled by the people. That government is still going to be in control of that law enforcement arm. So, but you want freedom. It don't make no sense to me, right? I just wish people would stop falling for the okie doke, man. Now, if this Democrat did in reality run over and kill this teenager who was probably conservative, or his parents were conservative, then that's bullshit, right? You're letting your ideology turn you into a fucking turn you into a sociopath. You're allowing your ideology, which is skewed anyway, to turn you into a fucking maniac who goes around running over children. This is why I can't rock with the politics. This is why I can't rock with the left-right paradigm. This is why I can't be Democrat or Republican, all this bullshit. This is why I don't vote. This is why I don't pay attention. This is why these people, their honeyed words do not sway me. I don't care. I don't care if they sit up there and talk about they the most pro-2A politician in the world. Donald Trump called himself pro-2A. But we know he's not really pro-2A. He's take the gun first, due process second president. That's what he is. He's the take the gun first, due process second president. He ushered in the proliferation of red flag laws along with Dan Crenshaw. He banned bump stocks because one individual used bump stocks supposedly and allegedly in a so-called mass situation. One person. How many other people aside from him committed mass situation attacks with a bump stock? That's the first time I've ever heard of it. But this is the reality of the world we live in today. Right? And this is why I am, for lack of a better term, anti that, right? Because you see, this research they're going to be doing is going to be into violent anti-government extremism. And these days they consider words violent. It doesn't matter what the word is or how you say it or the definition of those words. if you use it in opposition of the thing that you're talking about, like the government, right? Like if I say the government spends too much money, or we need to abolish the Federal Reserve or abolish the IRS, right? Well, the IRS is part of government. And then also Donald Trump absorbed the Federal Reserve into the government. Remember that? During his presidency. So now the Federal Reserve, which wasn't part of the government before, even though it didn't need to be because it was above government, has now been absorbed into the government. It's now part of the government, thanks to Donald Trump. But that's neither here nor there. It doesn't even really matter. What was I saying? So we just gotta listen, man. If I say we need to abolish the Federal Reserve and we need to abolish the IRS, they would consider that violent, right? Because what is it to abolish something, right? So you can abolish something in multiple ways, and sometimes it's through violence. Like, right, when they abolished slavery, they had to commit violence to achieve that abolishment. And that white lady on that was talking to Don Lemon said when the UK motherfucking soldiers tried to abolish slavery, 2,000 of their troops died. So she says. Abolishing something is abolishing tyranny. Trust me, because that tyrannical establishment, right, like the Federal Reserve and IRS, will not want to be unseated, right? There are many in government that would not want the Federal Reserve and IRS to be ended. So trust me, there will be opposition to it. I don't know, man. I don't know. We got some times ahead, and all we can do is prepare the best way we can, and that's really all I got to say about it. So y'all be careful, man. You know, and just look out for that bill. I'll try to get more information on that, and we'll talk about it further. But this is something that we need to pay attention to, because yeah, they're getting impatient and they're ready for the ultimate level of control. So let's figure out a way to not get caught up in that. So anyway, much love, like, share, subscribe, and yeah, look out for maybe another live stream tomorrow. I don't know. Let's keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.